Yes, Steve Daneuser is no longer at the World of Warcraft development team. This is fairly interesting. This is something that I heard ages ago. Actually not... I remember telling you when I heard about it, and we have definitely, thrown a few winks and nudges in. Like Taliesin and Evital, they've also thrown in a few winks and nudges. I think like it's kind of slowly percolated out, and everyone's just going, we just need to wait for something to break the news. And I guess the LinkedIn's actually changed. Where I think previously, I forget what it was previously, but like now there's an end date.
Yeah, there was no end date. He was still actively narrative director, according
Whereas
to it.
There is an end date now. That is November 2023.
Which is
narrative director, World of Warcraft.
Which is quite notably when World of Warcraft Dragonflight more or less ended.
Yes.
And BlizzCon showed the future of World of Warcraft, which he is, obviously,
And all of that stuff, again, think about that's months in the past.
Yeah.
So any of those, things we find out about BlizzCon or the end of Dragonflight, that's obviously, again, months and months and months in the past that all of the things internally at Blizzard will be happening. So I'm going to imagine planned exit at this point, change in direction. It's really weird. Like, I end up listening to just honestly a lot of, I can't believe this, but the Boomer radio about current affairs.
Oh dear.
And, everyone's talking about, General Zaluzhny no longer being the leader of the armed forces over the situation in Ukraine, and a lot of the people saying, oh well, sometimes you do just need to kind of rotate your commanders out as they get tired. You maybe think you need a new direction, and I think it's kind of interesting the way this has happened, because I think we're extremely obviously going in a way different direction. The way that popular video online where the car goes and takes a hard left turn into like a, out of the motorway, out of the highway.
Yes.
It feels like the plot did that, because I could see, you could see a lot of the things that they were doing at the start with, with this expansion, and it was clearly always going in the direction of Titan stuff and the War Within. Obviously, War Within, that would have been in production like when Dragonflight shipped. That is when, Chris Metzen was only back the first time, not back the second time, third time, and fourth time, as he became more back, and then so back that he just is Warcraft now. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, it was as if they were like re-announcing that he was back every few months, but like, hey, Chris Metzen just got another responsibility. Oh, you seem to be in deep thought.
I'm in deep thought because people are complaining about echo from your mic. So I'm trying to see where that's actually coming from. Because nothing has changed unless you've fiddled with stuff in my absence.
I haven't been doing any unauthorized fiddling with this.
Unauthorized. Well, that's good. Yeah, I have absolutely no. I think it's just your fucking volume, to be honest. Ooh, that was almost horrible. That almost went terribly.
Is this set up? Well, I mean, I could just turn me down.
Yeah,
turn me down.
Yeah, just turn you down.
I am now down,
and also me. Because it's my next problem, I imagine. Who knows? It's when you lean back, I guess. So,
hello. Hello.
Yeah, see, people are saying it comes and goes randomly. There is not reverb in one of the scenes. There isn't.
Shocking.
But that's good feedback, because if it sounds like there is, then
there may as well be.
Yes.
That's certainly interesting. But yes, where were we on that situation? Yes, the production timelines for WoW, of course. They always had known an expansion ahead of where they are. One of the things that's changed now is, and it's less that they didn't know the expansion after the next expansion. I think they always would have had a fairly decent idea. It's more that they seem to be far more locked in on that now, given that Midnight is in simultaneous production. Which is, it's not to say that that's the exact same thing as, the Lord of the Rings trilogy having its principal photography being filmed like back to back. But it is like way more parallelized than it had been in the past. So I guess then what's interesting is there's Dragonflight. Dragonflight has, I think, a good start. Then Dragonflight gets weird in the middle. And things, I don't want to say that things happen out of order, because like they literally don't. But there's a lot of storytelling that if you always had that plan, you would have done a little bit differently. And like, it's that weird thing, because technically, Xalatath, I suppose, met Iridikron after he flapped away. After he flapped away in Vault of the Incarnates, but before the Forbidden Reach patch. And there's just like bits of framing and how things have sort of happened. The way that Fractures in Time is overtly the start of the World Soul Saga, in a way.
Yeah, and that happened pretty late into the actual patch, but also it was kind of the start of the World Soul Saga, but it didn't really do that in any super... It was, but also it didn't make any, like, fireworks about it. It was like, it kind of is. And it kind of is, by the way, but only like in a logical capacity.
And there was so much that was also just confusing to us. Like, why do we go and, apparently reckon with Neltharion's legacy, but really don't do that much with it, including the humongous, big, void whole thing that is full of, like, absolute craziness and, like, shattered floating chains and everything that's underneath Zaralek. It's like, there's a lot of things that just... They felt like notably not done properly or fully. That idea of like all of our characters are here in this objectively insane place with the big, void area, and nobody does anything or says anything. It's weird, right? Even some of the way that Fractures in Time went, I think a lot of people didn't think that it would essentially be a reset with some character development of Nosdormu, because that's all it was. Because it was going to go off the one true timeline. We then defend the one true timeline, but at the cost of Iridikron getting to do his thing, because the Morrizond at the start of that dungeon, right, and halfway through when Morrizond appears, that's not our Nosdormu being turned into Morrizond. That's clearly like the proto Nosdormu being turned. Because how could they make Morrizond appear if how could they do that otherwise? We're just in the dungeon. Where does he come from? It's not like Nosdormu came with us and that, I don't know, crawled into a ball, cocooned himself, and then turned blue and white. And like, you know what I mean? And all of the sloppiness and sort of weirdness with so much of that narrative that you talked about, like the whole Tyr plot line being, it's like, he's back. He didn't play a role in anything. Like, at the start of this expansion, I don't think anybody thought that Tyr would literally do nothing that contributes to the A-plot. But that's exactly what happens. Tyr does nothing that contributes to the A-plot. And the A-plot itself is a really weird, disjointed thing. Again, like, because, like, overtly this is a segment about, like, oh, the old narrative director's gone. He did seem to be a wild man for the number 5. The torches and the sigils. Remember the sigils? Remember the jailer got the sigils and we were all very concerned. Well, what were the oath stones about? Like, they're actually, that's it. If we ever get, like, funding to make a documentary, that will be what we do. We travel to America to find out what was the purpose of the oath stones.
We'll find out eventually.
Yes.
All right, I'll pick up what you're saying, but could you please point your mic not at the ceiling?
Not at the ceiling?
Yeah, where you see all of that. See that massive concave above us that's probably reflecting all of your voice?
Hello!
Because there's no soundproofing directly up there, and that's where the mic was pointed.
Delicious.
Yeah. So try to bring a little bit more angle downwards. Not quite like that. And they can't see.
There we go. Perfect. It will not happen.
You know what I mean? At least don't have it bounce directly on the ceiling and down. We should be okay. Apologies for that. Also, yes, we did have a very mini F. We literally, it genuinely, like, it disconnected for a fraction of a second. Computers, I suppose.
Yes, computers. Right, so I guess that's like the initial thing. There has been a lot of confusion about some aspects of Dragonflight's plot. Obviously, it's one that we've criticized quite a bit. The whole Avengers Assemble bizarre scene, the Ant cinematic, Yggdrasil being very bizarre. Just honestly, kind of everything. Felt a bit weird, felt a bit directionless. I'm not exactly sure, like, how any of that went down internally. I don't know if this is a situation where Steve stayed on and, perhaps saw some of these live, sort of live delivery stuff with current game, maybe saw those things to ship and then left. don't know, but it does seem that take Chris Metzen. I think originally he was supposed to come back as an overall franchise consultant, but at some point that changed to him being overtly on World of Warcraft, not just Warcraft.
Well, I can see exactly when and why that changed.
Why, Matt? Well, great. I don't have... Oh, that's me off the hook. Let's go.
Yeah, what happened was he, kind of came in to observe and consult, and then he looked at it all and went, what is this? And he probably brought people into the room, into a room, and said, do you have any plans for what you're doing here? Can you show me the ideas? Can you show me, the timeline for this? What are the themes involved? And then everyone who talked to him, how do I describe this? Probably just stammered. Well, you see, Steve. Steve. You see, Chris. Now that's being brutally unfair to make a point.
Adamanthea, Persephone. Why?
Persephone. Yes.
Persephone.
Why Malfurion, Persephone? I mean, the two things. Yeah, you set me off very intentionally. The two things that I think are the most indicative of this whole thing being completely. We started with a plan in Dragonflight, and then the plan exploded into dust. Was first off, obviously, why was actually three, yeah, because of the Oathstones. Malfurion being yeeted into the Shadowlands in Ardenweald. Mm-hmm. To just come back randomly.
Just came back?
I'm yeah, I'm what did you mean by this?
You know the way he came back without his much anticipated new powers, new abilities, and new perspectives that somebody maybe said that he would have.
Yeah.
Sort of didn't have any of those, did he? Ysera also didn't really do that much. Not a great deal. It was very weird.
Yeah, nothing happened that actually.
You know the way some of the Dragonflight leaders essentially didn't talk to each other this expansion? You know the way Alex Straza just sat on top of a big tower? Oh, I suppose she was active. No, she was active in Guardians of the Dream.
Yeah.
It's just lame.
Yeah, the final patch.
What was going on? And I suppose, obviously...
I wonder, did they only plan 10-2? Did they have plans for 10-3?
Well, I think
they did.
I kind of think at one point
But I think they did, and then they very much didn't at the end of 10-0.
I think it was killed earlier. Yeah. I think that they probably wanted more, but it was killed earlier than people would think. I would say. This has just been such a profoundly bizarre expansion. I mean, actual video game wise, one of the best in ages. They've fixed so many things. Brilliant. Big thumbs up. But yeah, narratively, and I suppose that's relevant because we are talking about the narrative director of the World of Warcraft. So it's kind of a funny situation. I remember Towley, who of course had known people. Towley saying that this one would be the baby of that team. Shall we say?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. Did it get aborted? That's a bit of a... I don't exactly want to have such extreme imagery there, but I mean, it does feel like a lot of things changed. Even just that interview of, Malfurion will go into Ardenweald, he will come back with new powers, new perspectives. That didn't happen. He came back and immediately retired.
I mean...
Right decision.
Correct. I would do the same. I would very much do the same. 100%.
So that clearly changed. In fact, I know that Jared on our team, he's going through a video on this exact topic now. He's working on that. So the idea that there was some sort of large shift. So we will bring you properly, thought out points. There is another thing on this that... There's another thing in this that's kind of weird. So I know that somebody on that team, and this is fine to say because they posted it on Twitter. I had heard and was linked to someone basically having who was on that team, who I believe was hired. I forget exactly, but anyway, he was on the narrative design team. Something happened on Twitter because by the time that I was linked to it, it was basically somebody saying, okay, I did a lot of thoughts and feelings yesterday. maybe not the best advised. Maybe I will return to this at a future date. Because, sometimes if you're angry, maybe you should wait until things are a bit, cooled off. Until you say the things in public. I think that's evidently what that person thought. But it was somebody who was on the Warcraft narrative team, I think.
I vaguely remember this, but I don't remember what the content of it was at all. Well,
that's the thing. It wasn't one of those situations where it was screenshotted. I mean, maybe somebody screenshotted it at some time, but by the time that I was there, all that I saw was the post saying that the previous night's posts had been deleted. So again, I have absolutely no idea what was there. I think the gist was to do with, maybe things that the person was promised changed or what they expected changed. And I suppose if you're thinking about change, obviously there has been change at the highest echelons of the World of Warcraft creative team. That is just a fact. So these things could be related. They also might not be related. We don't know, but it was certainly, there was smoke.
There's a lot of smoke, and also a lot of fire, and a lot of smell of burning, and a lot of screaming, and, that was Teldrassil. No. That was the experience of playing it, because I think I kind of, I mentioned the Malfurion bit, him being gone and not been gone, and then been gone, and then been back for no reason. But one of the things that's also pretty evident was the Oathstones.
Yeah.
Oathstones, and then they weren't there. Cool, nice. What about Farak? Was Farak supposed to be the boss from the beginning? You could not convince me if you tried. You could not convince me if you tried to tell me in some capacity that he was supposed to be the final boss from the get-go.
He didn't feel like that at all.
In no way. He was the most mid-boss motherfucker of all time. And then it's just, he's the last boss now. It's over, by the way. Did we finish anything?
Tyr.
Was Tyr anything? Is he in the expansion? What's Elisand in this game for? Why is Elisand doing time travel shit?
I have been... Right. I'm going to send this to you, Matt, and we will see, I'm going to... Let's have a think about this. What do you think? What's your judgment here? Because it is pretty much what I expected. But, I mean, I see the screenshot that you posted in our members lounge, Night Stalker, and that is also what I believe to be the case as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense.
It's so frustrating, right? Because I want to trust that going forward that they'll understand all their problems and not make the same mistake again.
Yes.
But we have had so many expansions in a row where it's just full on, sorry, we didn't plan very well and now the expansion's different. We have had to full drift, like you mentioned them, you full on have to drift up the road. You have to change your direction. You have to pull the handbrake, get it right round. You have to multi-track drift some shit. So I don't really know what... I don't know what to think outside of I'm assuming it will be better.
Yes. The thing, someone in the know is saying that it is disagreements and a lack of an ability to get on well with each other.
Irreconcilable creative differences.
In parts of the Warcraft creative team. So there, I mean, I've pretty much just said, 99 plus 1. I don't know how to compute it, but the answer is 100. So, I think I've pretty much said it.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Aha! Allegedly. There. It's magical. You say allegedly, and then you're safe for all journalisms. That's how it works.
That's how it works now. It used to not be the case, but that's how it works now. You get to say whatever you want, as long as you allege it.